Three out of four women said they feel safe at work. But do you think that's just enough?
Gender diversity in particular is a topic that enterprises are looking to solve as a puzzle.
Our recent responses state 66% women are comfortable to use AI.
I do personally sense and feel, and I have seen that women have faced a lot more of the imposter syndrome than men. Please believe in your self-worth. Gender should not define what your final CTC will be to the organization.
Hi, my name is Likita. I work as an HRBP at the Answer Group. Today, I want to introduce you to Head of Marketing at Answer, Smita Hemige. She's known for building brands, people, and large teams. And today, in specific, we want to discuss about Women in Tech survey that we have done second year in a row. While we get into the outcome of the survey, the responses, right? I want to understand why was this important to do.
So, women in tech is a key subject that we see with most enterprises. Gender diversity in particular is a topic that enterprises are looking to solve as a puzzle. And we felt that the enterprises had a view and we needed to get the practitioner's view, which is why we've done this survey second year in a row. We had close to about 3,000 odd respondents who responded to the survey. We got inputs from them and then we kind of tabulated and shared that back with the GCC community on where practitioners see in terms of, especially in the area of women in tech, on the progress and not so, or areas where we can make a lot more progress kind of defined and as development areas as organizations are putting together their larger strategy.
We will talk about the first positive shift that we have seen in the reports, right? Which is 70% of the women last year felt the diversity efforts was more symbolic, right? But this year, about 40% of the women feel that, right? Which means it's reduced. What do you have to say about that, Smita?
I think the 30% shift that we've seen from last year to this year, I think, greatly talks about how organizations have now realized that they need to walk the talk. It can't be that, you just pick a day and celebrate women in your workforce, but actually look at what could be continuous efforts that you do, day after day and year after year. Look at gender diversity to be a key metric or a piece that kind of connects every part of your organization that you go along, which means it becomes core to your DNA and the way of working. And we've seen more and more of these happening with a lot of organizations. And organizations that do this really well, have been able to get multiple benefits, which means they're having lower attrition. They're having better, well-integrated teams. They've got a healthy mix of the ratios between women and men, which kind of is creating a lot more diversity in thought process, in the way that they've been able to build things together. And with all of this, I think organizations have now realized that you can't, have this shoved into a cupboard or look at this as once in a year activity, but look at what can you do as every part of your organization. And I think this is a welcome shift, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I see so many organizations who have built in diversity element right from hiring to how you mentor, coach people, to how you do performance evaluation, how you eventually do exit, right? And I positively see that changes. And I'm very, very excited about it. And the second insight is that our recent responses state 66% women are comfortable to use AI. What are your thoughts on it, Smita?
I think there's a lot more, I would say, awareness and acceptance and willingness. And it's not something new and shiny that people did not know how to react. I think it's on our phones now. It's integrated into our emails. It's kind of become like the norm. So I don't see this as a pleasant change. I actually would have liked further adoptions. And if you go back and see, especially in the technology space, there's a lot of excellent use cases on how AI has been adopted into mainstream. And with GCC is kind of building large parts of these high engineering and data-centric capability in-house in these centers that are across the country gives these women who are going to be part of their workforce a lot more opportunity to, engage, build, as well as enhance their capability, as well as their craft in this area. And I see next year it's going to be closer to 100%, or closer to that number, but a very high 90 odd percent who are very comfortable and who have kind of integrated AI and Gen AI into their everyday lives.
Absolutely looking forward to, reaching 90s or even 100%. Why not, right? The third insight is that 3 out of 4 women said they feel safe at work. But do you think that's just enough?
I think that's a heartening, goal or a good metric to work with. I don't think we can ever say that it's completely safe because we don't have 100% on this. But I think corporations or enterprises have actually built a zero tolerance policy to any format of harassment in the workplace. I think a lot of the training, a lot of the, awareness that you have from social media, as well as the information that's available to you, has actually sensitized both men, women, as well as other communities to understand and be empathetic on, the lines that kind of blur between what's a safe place to, being subjected to any format of harassment. And I think with a lot more women willing to put their hands up and say that they feel safe, also shows that corporations have been really serious about this, which means they've given them enough security blanket, they've given them enough modes of going back and operating or engaging when they feel that they've been singled out or they are subjected to any format of harassment. And I think that's a good metric to celebrate by.
Absolutely. It's such a positive shift that we've seen this year. Well, we've seen a lot of positive shift in our survey this year, but there are also aspects where we can definitely do better. For example, 58% women feel they need more mentorship for growth, for learning, etc. Right? Why do you think companies are not putting in more effort in that space?
It's an interesting aspect, definitely. And I think it's not a new concept just for, this survey alone. We've seen that year after year, women do look at other experienced, tenured women who can truly be mentors and whom they can learn from their journey. What they've realized is when they listen and hear about their journey, large parts of where they think their struggles are or where they think that they've hit kind of roadblocks, they can overcome and they can move ahead. If you look at, women entering the workforce, typically they enter at a 50-50%. And then at about 6 to 7 years, I call a whole concept called the leaky bucket, which means women in India, because they're still seen as the primary caregiver, either let their career take a backseat or decide to drop out from the corporate side because, they have to take care of the elderly or small children, or their spouses have got another role in another location. So they've kind of, decided to take a step back. The number of women that you can actually have to go back and listen and being mentored by becomes really, really a small number. So unless corporates or organizations truly believe that you need to be creating women role models, document their journeys, and if we don't have enough role models, and can we supplement them with external coaching or coaches that we can provide these women in tech professionals, we see that this is going to be a challenge that will never get solved. And I think it's a challenge that sits intrinsic to every organization, and it's an ask and it's a big cry from the women in tech community.
The next one that we'll talk about is personal favorite for many of us. From the last survey, there is a perception that women feel they're underpaid than men. Do you think that's still right? And how can we bridge that gap?
I think it's a very interesting topic. It's also highly topical because we are at that time of the year now. But I do personally sense and feel, and I have seen that, women, have or face a lot more of the imposter syndrome than men, despite whatever efforts that organizations have done. And I will tell you from my own experience that my negotiation power, while I would negotiate for a colleague and I will tell them what to do better, when I have to negotiate my salary, something holds me back. I will never ask for what my worth is. And it's like a awkward thing that kind of holds me back most of the time. And I think it's a common thing that's felt by a lot of women, and where they feel that we're not really getting the self-worth. And this kind of amplifies as you move along in your career, where you see a man with the same kind of skills actually earning a lot more as their paycheck month on month, when compared to women with very similar skills and maybe delivering more than what you would see with her men counterparts, but earning a lot less. And I think a lot of this actually sits with the women and their low self-confidence as well. And my one thing, which is is what I tell myself and all the other women technologists out there: please believe in your self-worth. Please remember that you deserve, to the degree or the expertise of your craft, and that should define, and gender should not define what your paycheck or your pay parity or what your final CTC will be to the organization.
Absolutely. I think organizations should absolutely focus on concepts like pay for performance, right? That really helps organization take them a long way. And also look at the sort of outcome individual is able to deliver rather than a specific gender or somebody's ability to ask for it, right? Build the right compensation structures. I think that'll go a long way. Are there any other findings that you want to highlight from the survey, Smita?
So you did introduce me earlier about helping enterprises build brand, right, in India. And there's one thing that really stood out for me. And this serves as a great input when we are talking to global, CMOs or HR leaders when they're looking to build their teams here, is what do women technologists or practitioners in technology look for when they want to, join their next, company of choice or employer. And a couple of things really stood out, which is, one is, of course, flexible ways of working. Companies like Lululemon, for example, have something called Make Your Own Day for their employees. So employees have enough flexibility to kind of go shape the way that they want to be working through the day. And I think that's a great, fantastic way of helping build brand and create, great culture around it. The second, I think, is how do you create world-class culture? How do you kind of transplant the culture that you have back in your home country or in your headquarters in this center as well? And how do you bring the best of that culture here and localize it to this market? And I think that's another thing that women came back and said played a great role. I think 3 is, it kind of went back and re-emphasized what we spoke about earlier, which was the need to get access to senior women leaders that they could go and work with as role models or as mentors that they could learn from. And the 4th is, how can they get better at their craft? Which is, can they do their best work? Can they bring their whole self to work? Can they be really proud of the work that they were doing? And I think in many ways, the GCCs kind of, tick off all of the boxes that are there in what the women technologists want. And the reason being is, best work for the enterprise is actually sitting within the GCC today. And each of the employees who are part of this microcosm of the enterprise, which is called the GCC, actually has a large role or has a direct impact on the way the enterprise looks at either from the top line or bottom line. So in many ways, I think if women are looking for new roles, especially in technology, and you say these are your key areas or focus areas, then you should be looking at GCC specific roles because they fit what you're looking for, as a right match.
This discussion has been so insightful for me, Smita. What do you expect to look forward to in the upcoming report when we run this report the next year?
Now you're asking for crystal ball gazing. Is that what you're asking for, Likita? I'll do that. I think from an enterprise perspective, what I would like to see a lot more is enterprises really walking the talk when it comes to their gender diversity efforts. I think that's one thing that we'd like to see. People making it really core and central to their ways of working, and that getting it to, into the DNA of the organization. I think that's going to be critical. I think for women, what's one thing that I would like to give back is, get out of the imposter syndrome, demand what your right is. So which means ensure that you're asking for whatever pay that you think bases your skill and expertise level. Also look for mentors within your organization and your circles that you could really learn from, and lessons can be learned anywhere. And the three is, I think Indian enterprises have a lot to learn from the GCC ways of working, because they seem to be clearly ahead of the curve. So how can we facilitate some of that learnings from the GCC world into the Indian enterprise world is going to be some of the insights that I'm looking at, or getting insights from women practitioners in technology in 2026.
Thank you so much for taking out the time today and sharing the insights with all of us.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me here.
So that was my conversation with Smita. To look at the detailed report, you can look at LinkedIn page of Talent 500.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more such career-related content. For some of the world's top GCC jobs, check out talent500.com.